Okay, this is how to build confidence as an introvert. I do these presentations, one to practice my presentation and communication skills, and then also to refine my thoughts so later on I can actually speak on this stuff with confidence and clarity. So I make these through Gamma. I ask questions. I think I asked for like 50 questions that young men have to ChatGPT, and I've been making them since then. I write down all my thoughts, give it to Gamma, and then make a presentation. It's the quickest that I can do right now, and then hopefully this helps some people out. So, redefining confidence. The way I define confidence is often portrayed as loud, charismatic, that take over the room, but the definition is incomplete. True confidence isn't about forcing yourself to act like someone you're not. So, just basically, confidence is being comfortable with yourself and knowing that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. The misconception is it requires you to be the center of attention or constantly social. You don't have, like, I don't know, if you're in a room and then somebody's talking a lot or they're a center of attention and they seem comfortable with it, that shows confidence, but that isn't what it has to be. Introverts build deep confidence, not becoming louder, but becoming stronger. Basically, looking at all the work that they've done in the past and or whatever they're doing right now and being confident in it. So I wasn't always introverted. I kind of went through that the last several years. In high school, I sought applause and constant encouragement, but adulthood changed everything. Life became quieter and more serious. So it felt really good because when older people look at you when you're younger, it's like they see so much potential in you, and you just want to tell them, "This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do," and they give you all this positive feedback back, and it feels really good to tell people. But then after a while, you kind of just like, oh, I gotta do the work, like I gotta actually focus on this stuff. And eventually, I just got tired of telling people that, and then I'm like, I got all this work to do, and then I became more introverted and just more focused on work rather than telling people the plans. I actually don't really like telling people the plans besides this or my close friends. So I shifted into the so-called shadows to focus on working and surviving. I don't know why I put surviving here. Like I said, I make Gamma, but surprisingly, dressing down became a tool. So when you don't signal status, people reveal their true intentions. So I know one of the homeless fellas out here named Crazy Tony. He asked me if I was homeless when I was trying to give him a sandwich, and I said no. I go to school here and stuff. Or when people come up, even if they're my age, they'll talk to me a little bit different rather than if I'm dressed real nice and stuff. Basically, the proving part or what somebody's trying to show me, there's no guard up and there's no wall that's up because they're just looking at me for a person, not really that I'm trying to. I don't really know how to explain this, which is why I do this, but it's kind of frustrating. Basically, dressing down and I don't know, always wearing sweatpants or whatever, clothes from Goodwill. It seems like people are much more open to having honest conversations with me rather than if I walk around in a suit. Then they have to seem like they're portraying something or we're kind of in a competition, if that makes sense. The true source of confidence. I learned a crucial lesson. Introverts don't need to become extroverts to grow. Confidence is a natural byproduct of actions. So the way that I was building it was accomplishments. So doing the work and building tangible skills. So if somebody says, hey, can you do this or I need this done, I know that I can do it. Lived experiences, surviving challenges. Surviving just seems so dramatic to me. And living more life than those around you. You don't really need to try to compare yourself to others, but if it's, I don't know, if you volunteer somewhere, that's a great way to get exposure to a lot of different lives. Or one example is like if I go through college, I never did the spring break thing. I never went on spring break with friends or anything, but through my jobs, I was able to travel a lot and then make money as well. So although if you were to look at like a rap sheet of my college experience, from a high level, it would probably look not fun. But if you looked at my entire life of being able to travel while going through college, while making money, and just working a whole bunch, you might still think that it's not very enjoyable, but I found it really enjoyable. I got to live a whole bunch of experiences rather than looking on social media and doing small projects. It's kind of just one big project. and deep perspective, understanding people and situations between the surface. So through all of these experiences of traveling and talking to more people, or volunteering at the children's hospital, or talking and being friends with a lot of the homeless guys here, I got to understand a variety of different people with a variety of different perspectives to, I don't know, kind of see through like that small talk stage of somebody's like, oh, I'm going to school, this is my major, yeah, this is where I'm from, into what they really want to achieve in life or what their thought process is. Facing competency gaps. Some of this really sucks. So even with strong confidence, which I believe I have, areas like technology and business applications can be challenging, especially technology, which is kind of funny because I'm trying to make that app. I haven't had decades of experience here or in business application at all, so I feel less confident. But confidence is built by exposure, not avoidance, which is why we're making the app, which is why we did the business application of like, okay, we went to school for business. We took a low-paying job at the dealership, and we worked as much as we could, but it was applying business, and that's where I'm trying to become more confident in. So I identified my weaknesses. I don't know anything about technology. It's always nice to think you know stuff about business, but the more you learn, the more you know you don't learn, and then you just kind of, I don't know what Alex Ramosi says, but yeah, it's hard to build confidence in these two, at least for me. So I acknowledged it. Experience skills, so take on quests, dealership, app, and build projects to gain exposure. Not really gain exposure. This is more kind of just proving it to myself and building the skills. I'm not really trying to get exposure for it. But then from this exercises, you build competence. So repetition builds competence, and competence builds confidence. Also with this technology thing, I'm learning for the Flipper Zero, where it's like NCIF or RCF stuff. I'm trying my best to learn it, but, just little side quests that you can do in your spare time. Growth through grit. My biggest source of confidence didn't come from praise. Actually, nothing really comes from praise, because if you tell somebody your plans and they're just like, oh, it's so good, then you got to go do all the work and stuff later. So it comes from resilience and the hard reality. So working hard, like you look back and you can look at your financial situation, good or bad, and say, I did this. In my scenario, I got $280,000, depending on the market, at 25. And I look back on that and I'm confident that, one, I can work a lot of hours, that I have some skills that's good for work. Excuse me. And then I can finish stuff that I start. And then also unique experiences. So if you follow this at all, you'll know that I slept in my car. Taking risks, not really financially because I'm very risk averse, but making sacrifices to build resilience. Is it eating the same food every day, not taking days off, or stuff like that. Of course, we still have some days that we take off, and right now is a slow work time, but, there's, everybody slips up every once in a while. Sometimes opportunities aren't there. But my growth through confidence came from working hard and having unique experiences, not through talking to people and stuff, because that at least for me was short term. Expanding my perspective. So most people only want to talk to those just like them. That's called rapport. So people feel more comfortable with people who either are like them or people who they want to be. Confidence for me grows when engaging in people with completely different realities, which is why I talk to people who are in different situations as myself. So these interactions provide wisdom that you can't buy. If I talk to somebody just like me, one, that would probably get really boring after a little bit. But talking to other people with different experiences, you see, things that you would never see before. This could be through people from different countries, different race, different social backgrounds, everything. It's really nice to talk to other people that you wouldn't usually be exposed to. I try to talk to business owners, even though those are kind of harder to find, and then also get their time. So this is where I go on like YouTube to find this stuff. The vulnerable, listen to refugees and homeless individuals. Luckily, I got to work with some refugees for one of my jobs, and then homeless individuals, they're all around if you're in a big city. So talking to them, getting their perspective, you'd be really grateful for what you have, and then also can avoid some dopamine traps, I guess, by talking to them. Diverse views. Knowing all of these different views, you can handle, I wouldn't say any because that's kind of too broad, but you can start looking at social situations much more clearly from a lot of different perspectives to kind of get where the middle ground is and what is possibly the right one. And blue collar. Understanding the reality of physical labor. I don't know, white collar is real big right now of like the idea thing or ideal, whatever. Even though blue collar is now making a lot of money, but people who work hard for a living, in construction or plumbers and stuff like that. Understanding the physical side of it as well. Those are just a couple examples. I mean, you can talk to anybody. Busting the extrovert myth. I don't know what this is. Yeah, I'm going to put that in there. But the biggest myth is that introverts need to be louder. You don't. They need to be smarter and more experienced. Experience, you can rely on falling back on all of your experiences. If you're having a debate on something, as in, like, say, man, sometimes examples are really hard to come up with. I don't know. Well, let's keep this rolling. Confidence comes from interior pillars, not personality type. 1, being competent, mastering your craft through practice. Discipline, consistently showing up and doing the work. Self-awareness. This is kind of everything we just talked about. Just gain more skills and keep going on your goals. If I could speak to a shy 18-year-old introvert, which I was not at 18, but if I could speak to you and you're 18, I wouldn't tell you to fake trying to be confident. I'd tell you to build the identity through the action. So go to work. At least this is what I would do. If you want to build it somewhere else, that's good for you. But I'd say go to work. It helps you build your identity faster than anything else through skills, talking to new coworkers. I've had a whole bunch of jobs, which has allowed me to talk to several people with a bunch of different perspectives and experiences. Weird people, cool people. Talking to all these people will put you out of your shell of people who are like you, and then redefine like what you think of yourself and what you think of other situations, because you'll compare and contrast yourself to other people and their thoughts. Solve problems, put yourself in situations where you have to find solutions. Confidence is earned. So that could be through college, through teamwork stuff, but then also through work, because there's a lot of problems at work, and you got to be a big problem solver at work. And create things, build projects, skills, or businesses. Creation builds belief. You're going to be stuck alone with yourself a lot, and you're going to have to work through problems, or, I don't know, fixing problems to me helps me define who I am or what I want to do. A lot of it is just kind of like being alone with your thoughts and talking to others. Man, I kind of feel like I'm going off the tracks here. Hopefully this is making sense, guys. In a couple of years, she'll hopefully make sense. This is why we do it. The daily habit of confidence. I try to solve problems every day, big, small, technical, or personal. Every problem you solve is proof that you're capable, intelligent, and adaptable. In my opinion, introverts become confident, not becoming louder, but by becoming more capable. Now, how do we solve problems every day? 1, you can have your long-term stuff, but then 2, if you watch any of this, I don't live in a very fancy place, and a lot of things need to be solved. Like the stove leaks gas, or I just learned how to tan a hide, or my air conditioner, I wrapped it up with tinfoil and towels and stuff. These are all small problems that help me practice problem-solving skills. You could say, let's solve all the problems and then just move to a nicer place. 1, the financial part to me kind of sucks, but then 2, these are all little problems that I'm practicing problem-solving skills. So eventually you stop questioning yourself, because you'll have real evidence that you can handle of saying, like, especially if you're a guy, am I capable? Am I going to be able to provide later? Am I a stand-up gentleman or whatever? If you have enough life experiences, you're going to know if you are or if you aren't. And if you aren't, then you can try to make a plan forward. Hopefully that went okay. Hopefully that helps some people out. Once again, I do this to practice communication, presentation, and refining thoughts. So hopefully later down the line, I can speak this very clearly, have a distilled thought process, and help more people in a very clear way. So Thank you. Have a good day. See you in the next one. Peace.